Can anybody find me somebody to love?
The wheel time. Hello, everybody, to another episode of Half a Clue TV Review. And today we will be discussing Amazon's new fantasy show, The Wheel of Time, based on a series of novels by Robert Jordan.
And finished by Brandon Sanderson, who is one of my favorite authors right now.
Yeah.
Which
once again, I'm excited if they ever make the Mistborn series or whatever.
Yeah, I'm excited for that to happen. Also Stormlight Archives, but that has like 3 more books left, and
I rather
probably not going to be
even
finished anytime soon.
I'd rather them not even after Game of Thrones. I'd rather them not try at all until the series is over. Like this, yes, The Witcher, yes. Like wait until the series is over, then you adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of like that's one of the things. Like I would have loved the Stormlight Archives to be announced as being a series, but because of Game of Thrones, I am very apprehensive about them doing that at this point.
I agree. All right, so The Wheel of Time is Amazon's new, it's pre-Lord of the Rings attempt to make a crack at the fantasy Game of Thrones Holy Grail. And it's based on a series of novel by Robert Jordan, who unfortunately passed away before the completion of the novel series. And Brandon Sanderson, as you said, took over. Is a widely beloved by many people, and it's kind of inconsistent at points. But I remember reading a lot of it as a kid. I haven't finished the Brandon Sanderson stuff, which I want to eventually now, especially after reading stuff from the first one. And right now we have bees fucking on top of our on our warehouse for some reason.
Yeah, what is that?
I have no idea. Let's if you guys hear it, it's bees fucking on top, like large human mutant bees. And I'm so happy and so grateful that they decided to take this beloved series, and put the money and resources that they did into this. I think it's like $100+ million first season or something, which is crazy.
Well, and I mean, you can see where the money all went.
Yeah,
because,
not to the cast, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it went into good production. I was looking into a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, about the series, and they had basically big action movie cameras and stuff like that are never seen on TV shows, and their set design was just so amazing. Just looking at some of the sets they built really brought the world into reality, and I think that also helped the performances of the actors as well.
Oh yeah, especially when we get into the casting and. When we get into the casting and performances, we'll talk about which actors might have needed the extra boost a little bit more. And I think, and we had this discussion before, you know who I'm talking about. But okay, so the brief premise of the show is we live in a world where people are with magic are called channelers, right? And one of the best channelers usually are females, and they're called the Aes Sedai, like the cream of the crop. One of the Aes Sedai, Moraine, is what's it called? Is on the look for this person called the Great Dragon Reborn, who is prophesized to either help save the world by destroying the Dark One or imprisoning it, or destroying it by joining the Dark One. And the main conflict is basically light versus dark. You know what I mean?
And then there's also a huge underlining concept of reincarnation and the concept of the Wheel of Time.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah, that they get into. I guess we should kind of explain the name a little bit.
Well, I guess let's finish the premise first. And then, so she finds 5 potential candidates, all with their own special attributes, and takes them on their journey to this path to ultimately defeat the Dark One, and fulfill the prophecy and see who is a Great Dragon Reborn.
Or if any of them are.
Oh, exactly.
Or all of them.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, in the books, it's a lot more obvious. It's all from the Protected One, but we'll get into that in a bit. But you want to explain the title and stuff?
So the Wheel of Time is a reference to a concept that they've got in, I wouldn't say their mythology, but kind of their society, where, because it's kind of realish, I guess you could say, theoretically, where basically every person who lives has the chance to come back and be reincarnated, and that's kind of what they call when the wheel chooses. It's kind of up to the wheel as it turns when you're going to come back to this earth as somebody else. And that whole Wheel of Time concept is brought through, where it's the dragon reborn is literally the dragon being reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
Yeah.
super spot on, and that's how it is. And it's look, honestly, yes, these tropes have been done over and over in a lot of these other fantasy shows of reincarnation, of destinies, of prophecies. And this one does all these tropes, but there's nothing wrong with tropes as long as you do something interesting with them, or you do the tropes to serve a greater narrative and purpose. And boy, oh boy, this series does. And also the novels, to be fair.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Daenerys Targaryen to come in and break the wheel.
Oh my dude, honestly,
I'm sorry.
if
that
there's
was,
a weird fantasy crossover of Moraine versus Daenerys,
Yeah.
I would love to see. Oh, you know what? Even better. Okay, I mean, should we just say spoiler alert, by the way?
Yeah, spoilers
so-
for this whole thing
yeah.
because there's a lot of interesting stuff. You should definitely watch this first.
Yeah, like because you're talking about the Great Dragon Reborn.
Mhm.
So it's Randall Thor at like peak Dragon Reborn level versus Daenerys or Drogon. And then
Yeah.
she'll just, and then who would win? Probably Rand. I mean, because in this show the power levels are just fucking insane. So he would probably win. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that holds their power levels back, for the Aes Sedai at least, is the vows that they take.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Only as a last resort and stuff like
Yep.
that.
where they can't kill unless it's like protect themselves. They can't, or what are the rules
So
again?
they can't lie.
They can't lie.
And it's only a last resort or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. They have like
and
three
they can't
vows.
make like a weapon to destroy things or something.
Yeah,
Using their magic.
Yeah, unless obviously with if it was within the guidelines and stuff. It's
Y-
very
yeah.
complicated. It's kind of shitty. Not gonna lie, it's a shitty. That's why like for the guy channelers, they're like, fuck yeah, we could do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they go mad.
Yeah, but they go mad, and when we get into the bit, but let's first go over our main central characters. So first we have our main Aes Sedai, and Aes Sedai is they're a magic organization of the most powerful female channelers in the world.
Which, for the most part, all channelers that are allowed in the world are female.
Yeah,
Even though there are some groups that don't want any channelers, they think that it's all bad.
Oh yeah, we get into yes, the White Cloaks.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's adapted pretty well from the novel, probably tell with the limitations of the TV show. So our main Aes Sedai, who, and even amongst the Aes Sedai, which I really love the world building, is that there's different colors that represent different groups. So she's a blue Aes Sedai that's all about trading secrets and going on secret missions for the Amerlin seat, called Moraine. Moraine de Madrid, or if I'm saying that right, played by Rosamund Pike, who absolutely kills it. She's honestly who I would expect when I think about Moraine.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think of her? How did you think of her leading the show?
I think that she was a very powerful force in the show, especially when you saw her kind of butting heads with the other Aes Sedai. Would this be a good time for us to get into the fact that there's like different groups of Aes Sedai?
I think that might be jumping the gun a bit. We'll talk about our main cast for now, and then we get into her ward, which is Lan, Lan Dragoran, who is I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. Fuck, I'm like super tired. Who has his own history of his own, and we find out that he's actually the next in line. He's actually like a secret prince, pretty much. The secret prince, a trope in a lot of these fantasy novels, which is fine. I like Lan. He's cool. Played by Daniel Henney, who you seen X-Men Origins Wolverine, right?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember Agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
okay.
Kareem, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and the relationship they have, it's pretty interesting because they aren't like married or romantic or anything, but they still have like that connection.
Yeah, it's like the bond is deeper than marriage almost. Literally, right? Like we see later on in one of my favorite episodes. And then we get into our 5 potential candidates for the Great Dragon Reborn. We get into Randall Thor, played by Joshua. Egwene, played by Madeline. Nynaeve, right? That's how you say it? Nynaeve?
Nynaeve.
Nynaeve, played by Zoe Robbins. Matt, played by Barney Harris, who's now will no longer be played by him in season 2. And Perrin, played by Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them, I'll say this. In the books, I like them a lot more. And here, I think they're pretty good and functional. Some I like more than others. And there's some I think that weren't the best casting choice. I think you and I might agree.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
They did seem kind of just basic casting choices.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, these are all a bunch of people that, I mean, have any of them really been in anything major before?
All of them were like probably like
Yeah.
small TV roles and plays and stuff like that. If
So,
anything,
they got some small actors, and let's see what they do with it. That's kind of my feeling when it
Yeah.
comes to that. It's the first season. They could get to season 5 and by then really be on a roll and just really embody the character.
who was your favorite? Okay, first let's talk about who was your favorite characters out of the 5, and who was your favorite actors that portrayed the characters.
Ah, that's a hard one. I don't remember the actor's name who played the ogre.
Oh, I know. I'm
Yeah.
talking about just the 5 right now.
Oh, of those
the,
5?
the 5.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be Matt. I think that
But Barney Harris did a
Yeah.
fantastic job. He looks and feels
Yeah.
like a dark, crazy, fucked up punk rock dude. That's Matt.
yeah.
That's why it's like. And then the guy they casted, I'll show you a picture after the show. The guy they casted him after, he looks kind of like a clean, like Matt Smith from Last Night in Soho.
Mhm.
He kind of looks like him, but like sweeter looking.
Okay, so how are they gonna do that between season 1 and season 2?
Apparently, they're just gonna ignore the fact that it's a recast and just continue on.
Gotcha. They aren't gonna have him mimic all the facial movements for season 1 and then like CGI it over for season 1
Dude,
and
that'd
then
be
pretend
hilarious. That would be fucking hilarious. I love that, dude. Yeah, I agree. He's my favorite of the 5. My second favorite is Zoe Robbins, who plays the knave.
Mm-hmm.
She killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear that? You know the one scene where she's going through the forest, and then because and then in filming and behind the scenes, like they use a track car to
Mhm.
track them, and they have a track car on purpose so that they are faster than the actors. Apparently, but she was so fast because she's apparently like a natural athlete that basically the car struggled to keep up with her, which is great. Physical
Yeah.
actress. What did you think about her?
Yeah, I think that her performance was really nice.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know the characters from the books, so I can't say how faithfully she kept to that character, but I think that she did a good job playing it.
Yeah.
Just from somebody who has never read the books and is looking at this solely on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your least favorite? I think you and I might have like I have my least favorite character and my least favorite actor of the 5. Do you want to go with the actor first? Because I think you and I might have the same.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that the actor who played Perrin, what's his name? Marcus
Marcus?
Rutherford.
Yeah.
He was my least favorite, but it also felt like he had the least to do
Yeah.
throughout the series.
Yeah.
So,
Not
it's
gonna
tough
lie.
though.
He's not what I picture. I mean, just based on the
Yeah.
picture, like, does he look anything
No,
like?
not at all. But I mean, I understand.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, like, it's hard to take characters that were in written form and then
And
adapt them for
yeah.
TV, and you can't always do that.
Hey, I mean, look, Moraine and Lan and Matt, they casted them perfectly, I think.
Mhm.
But honestly, for me, my least favorite, that one's pretty close. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I think my least favorite was Joshua, who plays Randall Thor.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, I can. Mhm.
I'll say this, like him and Marcus are actually pretty tied. Not gonna lie, but I just say this: he's one of the. I mean, I get like on paper, like he kind of looks like Randall Thor, but when it comes to emoting and stuff like that, and just talking and how he talks, and he's like a Dutch actor too, so it's not English. I don't think English is his first language,
Mhm.
bro. You could tell, and emoting is like kind of harder for him than the others, and he's supposed to be the lead of the show, right? And I think he needs
did
to
seem
take
a little bit kind of
wooden.
monotone on
Yeah.
his acting. Yeah, so
Dude, when
I thought that it was a creative choice, but I'm like I said, I didn't come from reading the book, so I don't know how he's supposed to act and behave.
yeah, I don't think it's a creative choice in the sense of his wooden acting. I think just because he's a wooden actor. And Randall Thor is kind of complex. I mean, he's the Jon Snow of the show pretty much, but cooler and more dynamic and more angry and stuff like that. And this guy, like, the scene where he finds out he's a dragon reborn. Oh my god, I was so underwhelmed. Like just the way his face emotes and stuff like that, like looks like as my friend Uriel will say when he thinks of bad wooden actors that are good looking, like an IKEA machine. Yeah, he feels like an IKEA machine. Like I hope he gets better. Dude, because if he's gonna lead the show and stuff like that, he needs to improve his chops. People improve. I really hope that maybe like he does a play in between and just works on his like
Well,
emoting abilities.
Maybe Amazon will give him enough money for acting classes.
I mean, he's not bad. I'm just saying, but like, I'm for a lead of 100 million plus season show.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But honestly, to me, the cast wasn't really what drew me into this show.
No, it's the world.
It was the world
and stuff.
And a lot of the sequences that they had.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the action sequences were amazing. Like we were talking about before, it gives me really good hopes for the Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah. Dude, it's like, I think this will show. And then when we get into technical stuff, one of the best mixes of practical and visual effects ever. And especially, we're gonna get into when we get into the first episode. That's what we're gonna. I want to highlight that. Who's your favorite supporting character outside of the group that we mentioned? Who's your favorite actor that plays that supporting character?
I don't remember the actor's name. The Ogier that goes along with him.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think he's if you scroll down a bit.
Yeah, what's his name?
Right here.
Yeah.
Lowell, played by Hamid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No,
good.
he did an amazing job. He had the right voice,
The right tone.
I don't know if they had to modulate his voice for his performance.
It did. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either, but
Yeah.
it was very deep, very, very boomy. It sounded just, he sounded like
A fantasy character.
Yeah, like a fantasy character. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't necessarily human, and it was perfect. And that's like something that you see a lot. Like, did you ever watch the movie Bright?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they did not sound like fantasy characters.
No,
talking
they
about
did
that,
not.
Yo, like these ogres like, you coming at me, bro? You coming at my beer? My Uzi on the beer. And Wilson was like, bro, you gotta chill it down. I'm like, dude, it's I didn't get that you're trying to do end of watch or training day, but with fantasy, it just doesn't work. And plus, most of the budget went to Will Smith apparently. From what I heard.
Yeah, a lot of it did.
Yeah, he's honestly he's tied. My other person that ties with me is Logain, the most powerful male channeler that we see, in this season.
Yeah,
that's not part of Dark One.
Did he get killed off, or did they just put him in like a prison?
No, he didn't get killed off. They just put him in the prison. They took away his channeling abilities.
Gotcha.
Do you want me to tell you what happens later, or you just want to?
I'm gonna find out in season 2.
Okay,
because
find out in season
this
2.
is definitely gonna be something I watch the season 2 of.
What's it called? And played by Alvaro Mortus, Mort. He's a what's it called? He's a really cool international actor that was in Money Heist, and I think this is one of his first English language roles. So and he killed it. I love this actor. I love seeing it. I was like, oh shit. And this character is like, he's beast level crazy. Yeah, and the show. Let's just say this: we will see a lot more of Logain in the future. And he fucking his battle against the Aes Sedai.
That was an epic battle there.
Yeah, he fucking smoked them.
And like, just you don't think in like a TV show where they're just introducing you to this whole new cast of characters from this organization that they're gonna kill off so many of them that they just got done introducing you to. It's like it really hits. It's impactful.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get into the introductory episode. At least the first episode when we came in, I'll be honest, like I remember as the books, but I didn't really remember much. And I was watching it, and I was kind of like, okay, we'll see where it goes. Right now, I'm not too into it right now, but I think I texted you right when it happened. But when they attacked, and when the Aes Sedai Moraine absolutely channeled all of her abilities to save the town, when the Trollocs invaded the Two Rivers, I was like, holy shit. We are in for a fucking treat. The Trollocs look so fucking good, like such amazing outfits, and I like behind the scenes, all of them are in like suits and outfits, and proper and the only CGI is they just animate the face to add extra emotions, or emotive expressions. Yeah,
and that's one of the things that, like I said before when we were talking about giving me faith in the Lord of the Rings, because you do have a lot of those big armies, and being able to handle, just looking at the costume designs that and the work that went into it for all these kind of background characters, it's just amazing the work that they did. And I mean, there is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into this.
Oh yeah, dude, the sets, the costumes, the designs, the armor, the props, all of it looks super top notch. And this is a TV show. It looked better than fucking Dark Tower. By the way, travesty, please this gives me hope for a really good Dark Tower, Stephen King Dark Tower adaptation. I really hope that happens. But yeah, dude, that movie would look cheap as fuck. But this one was cool. The whole Trolloc battle, and even like the way the camera moved, and when we first see the Aes Sedai use her channeling power,
Mhm.
and how she was taking down the Trollocs, and her warder was killing people on the side, and there's like this, like a weird marriage dynamic of attack
You
sequences.
understand kind of their method of fighting.
Yeah.
And it works really well because you're able to see, okay, well, she does the channeling stuff, but some things you can't just fight with channeling, and that's what the water's there for.
Yeah, the warder, right?
Warder?
Yeah, the
Okay.
warder. Yeah, her
Yeah,
warder.
sorry. It sounded like water the whole time I was watching it.
With
So,
the accent stuff.
No,
yeah.
and like when they're talking about channeling, it's like, you're feeling the stream
Yeah.
coming through. So I was like, oh, is it water? Because like, like a stream, and it's like they're actually like part of the channeling type thing in a
Yeah.
certain sense.
I-
I don't know.
I get that. I
yeah.
get that. It's cool. It's super dope. I'm like, as much as I enjoy The Witcher and whatever, right? And I, in a weird way, there's some parts of The Witcher when we get to kind of comparisons at the end, that I prefer there. But this one, absolutely, the magic system, the world building, the sets is 100%. This is like the best cream of the crop that we have until we see Lord of the Rings. But
Well, even then, in terms of magic systems, Lord of the Rings isn't the strongest when it comes
No,
to,
it
to
isn't.
magic systems because it doesn't utilize magic that much.
no,
But
no,
this is,
yeah,
a world built on magic, just like The Witcher was.
yeah.
So the magic system just does feel a lot more
fleshed out, and
out.
intricate.
Yeah, and it feels like there's a real understanding of what the limitations are of
Yeah.
the magic system and what all that means.
And out of all the fantasy shows, I think this one is the most detail oriented and consistent that I've
Mhm.
seen.
Well, that's why the first couple episodes were fairly slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, for a fantasy show, for a first episode, that's a pretty fast first episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, like the second, third, and fourth episode, it felt like it was flowing kind of slowly, but there was a lot of development going on,
Yeah.
and it did keep me interested.
Yeah.
It just seemed like they were moving nowhere fast,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like stuff like that. And then I kind of agree. There's like, but luckily, yeah, I didn't feel, maybe because like it's a lot of comparison game to other fantasy shows where they really take their time. But I understand. I personally understand. Luckily, I was invested the entire time because there's always something happening in each episode, right? Like in the second episode, we see Moraine, we see the dark cloaks and stuff like that, and then I think it's isn't the second episode where they
That's the one where they
go
get
to the
separated, I believe.
yeah, that's the one they go to Shadow City.
Yeah.
Which was super fucking dope.
I think they might get to the Shadow City at the beginning of the next episode, but that's definitely the
Oh,
one
no, no.
where they cross the river and they're running away.
I think the first episode is the river crossing,
Okay.
I think, and then the second. All right, I gotta double check on this, but the second episode is when they, because Shadow's waiting, right? They actually get to the Shadow City at the
Mhm.
very end. That's like the end credit, and then episode 3 is like we see what happens and how they get separated and stuff. And episode 4, the
Yeah.
Dragon Reborn episode.
Well, that's kind of where they start finding out about what's going on, and that's where you as the audience start kind of finding out more about what the whole deal is with these people that she's been searching for, and
Yeah.
like how critical the mission is that they're going on.
Yeah, and I agree. I think like the best thing about the show is that there's a good understanding of how to integrate characters with the world building details at this, and then how each informs each other, and while not ignoring the complicated relationships each group and faction have with each other, but at the same time keeping us entertained with this overall grander plot. And then I never feel like the show is meandering, because I always feel like each scene, out of all the fantasy shows, each scene feels like it's going towards an end game.
Well, it's definitely trying to get you to a point, and especially in season 1 of fantasy shows, it kind of has to do that.
Yeah.
Because
It's setting up the groundwork, and
setting up that groundwork just takes so much time that you don't have, those free minutes to
No.
be able to throw in there to just have like random, bullshit.
Not gonna lie, I would have been okay with like 10 episodes, like another couple episodes.
Yeah,
like,
honestly, is that like a thing of like the last 2 or 3 years where they've started cutting everything down to 8 episodes instead of 10?
it just depends on
'Cause-
like budgeting and what they think is the best and how many chapters and stuff. Like now, like number of episodes kind of like are out the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember back in my day when I was a kid, and you
24
could watch a 22 or 24 episode season of something, and that was hour long. And if it got cut down to 20, that meant that the show was doing bad. And nowadays, it's like, oh no, everything just gets 10 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. It's what's it called? It's weird. I don't know. It's like it's cool. I hope the next season. I don't know. The next season might be. I hope it's dude. It's 14 fucking books, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if they do 14 seasons of 8 episodes, fine. I'll let it go. That's 8-hour content. That I think that might be one of my only not say criticism, but I guess it's just stuff that I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good thing. I always want more. I wanted more of this show and this world. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I will see how they decide to go going forward. But I also don't want the pace to drag. Honestly, the 8 episodes did make it feel like it was going fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that they'll somehow find a way to flesh out the world more, and also at the same time, give as much attention to the world, but not drag down the pacing.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, I really think that it would benefit from being a 10 episode season,
Yeah.
especially because it looks like they are going down the route of having kind of separate journeys for the various characters that they've fleshed out so far.
Yeah.
And even though, like you said, it's written from one perspective, is that throughout the whole series of books?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Randall Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But in kind of terms of like what fantasy TV shows do,
Yeah.
they have 3 or 4 different characters. There isn't really an A plot and a B plot.
Yeah.
It's 6 different lines, or 5 different lines in this case, of what they're going through and what they're going down. And it seems like they're going to focus on that more. And that I don't think that works as well in 8 episode.
No. And what's the
Season.
craziest thing is, they actually added content that wasn't in the books in this one.
I believe it.
Because this one is more of an ensemble piece.
Mm-hmm.
And in the books, it's a singular perspective.
Well, and it feels like that's what they're going for, is making it more of an ensemble piece.
Which is good.
Because
I like.
that's kind of the best way that we have found to do fantasy television at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the great fantasy TV shows, that's one of the things that they kind of have in common, is they don't just singularly focus on one person. They focus on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 groups of people usually.
Yeah.
I say groups because sometimes it will switch perspective between them, but those core groups, then they'll collide, and sometimes the composition of those groups will switch around or change and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it makes for good TV. You get kind of interested in the different subplots, and they don't even really feel like subplots. They just feel like part of the main story, as long as it's integrated well at the end.
Yeah. And well, like I said, we'll see. I'm really curious. Season 2 will be really telling. Like, if it's a train wreck after this, I'll be very disappointed, because the cool shit is like not even the 2nd or 3rd book. It's like the 4th afterwards.
Yeah. Well, they kind of left it off at kind of a cliffhanger at the end of season 1, so it's
Yeah. By the way, one of the biggest changes. So let's get into the books to TV differences.
Mhm.
One of the biggest changes, besides I already mentioned the perspective, is that Moraine loses her power at the end of season 1, or not necessarily lose her power, but her access to the source, to channel her abilities, has been kind of limited or cut off by Servants of the Dark One, and that's crazy, because in the books that never happens, and she's like kind of a badass throughout. But they also give her a more complex thing. And I think, apparently, from what I heard, is they did that because, the actress Rosamund Pike, she wants to be challenged in every season, or she's gonna get bored. So she said, "Oh, what would it be like if Moraine lost her powers, and how would that character be?" And I'm like, okay, I'll say this: it's not negative yet. I just hope they don't spend too much time on season 2 with this plot line. We just saw this in Witcher not too long, in season 2.
Well, yeah, because like the whole thing with like Yennefer in The Witcher, that shows how you can kind of do it right, I guess you could say, where it's still like, hey, she lost her ability to channel, but she still has her knowledge of channeling, and can still help in like training these people. But they basically have to protect her now. It's moving from her protecting them to them protecting her.
Yeah. What's it called? And I agree, dude. Honestly, let's get into some of the crazy abilities they unlocked. Like Nynaeve, or Nynaeve. She's like a fucking level 1, level 2 sorcerer. By the way, there's like levels for the sorcerers and stuff. absolutely, like when we get, like, my favorite episode was episode 4, right, when we get into Logain, and you
Mhm.
see the other aspect of his character. His character is very interesting too, where like he's corrupted, but at the same time he does have noble intentions, but just going a really shitty way about it. But at the same time, you understand his perspective, because if not, he'll be killed and, you know, fucked up by the Aes Sedai. So it's Logain's army versus all the Aes Sedai that's within the situation. He's so powerful that the Aes Sedai has to like take turns, right? And we find out that he's just fucking with them, and he just destroys their shield and barrier. And
Yeah, and he could have done it at any time. He was just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here until I feel like I'm ready to come out and play."
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's one point where you know, he kills an Aes Sedai, one of the more elder Aes Sedais, and his ward feels it, and her ward feels it, and the ward tries to kill Logain, but it doesn't work, and the shards of his weapon shatters and just basically fucks everybody up. Particularly Lan, which I was like, oh shit, are they gonna change that from the books? And then Nynaeve comes out Super Saiyan 5 and fucking heals every motherfucking person there. And I was like, damn, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of Nynaeve? What do you think about the episode? And how do you think about that character going forward?
Yeah, I think that she's an incredibly powerful character.
Yeah.
I do like the whole like unrealized potential thing that they're doing with her,
Yeah.
where it's like you know, it's shown that she has all this power, but she doesn't really know what to do with it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to work well, in the long run. Like I
As
said,
growth.
as growth, and with the changes that they made, if she sticks along, you know, on the journey of the Dragon Reborn, as and starts to learn, because she now has to be the most powerful kind of channeler thing,
Yeah.
because the Dragon Reborn's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go mad
Yeah.
if I channel, so I can't channel unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. I'll just say this. The tainted. Oh, by the way, for people, I guess you're wondering why they go mad, is because because it's a reincarnation. The dragon reincarnates every once in a while. The last dragon fucked up, almost lost, and as a result, all the male channelers in the world and future to come, whenever they channel magic, they're tainted with madness. So every time they use it, they get slightly more mad. And then with Randall Thor,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see when he uses sometimes, a couple times he uses it early on. You see it's indicated by black, the madness thing. You don't see it that much,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's only until like near the end, right? I'm wondering what they're gonna go like in the future, that he's one of the few male channelers that could actually like avoid being tainted.
They might go that route, because
Or
I
he
mean,
might just get rid of the tainted altogether. Like
yeah,
he might just like
you know, repair the source or whatever.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be a good concept for them to go with, especially because they kind of allude to the past of the Aes Sedai, where there were male channelers and it
Yeah.
was separated. So like
It was male Aes Sedai.
yeah, there were male Aes Sedai, and you know, the White Tower was a lot different than it is now.
Yeah, very different. And what about the other people's powers? Like Matt, you know, they're hinting at he's had some dark path. But the other ones are, by the way, Egwene, kind of the lamest character in terms of powers and stuff like that, but she'll get better. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Were you kind of lamed out by her character a little bit? I mean, it wasn't bad, but I'm just saying, like,
it was kind of like, it felt like that was kind of the plot that they didn't work on the most.
Yeah.
Of the side plots.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. She gets better a lot later on.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Because they really didn't give it that much focus or attention.
No.
You know, because they were just traveling with the nomads, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Perrin. Ooh.
Mhm.
I'll say this, in the books, at least for me, and also like from the illustrations, he's the coolest looking character, with his wolf and his eyes and his ability. And then like he gets a hammer at one point, and like the hammer is like all inflamed and shit.
Mhm.
Like he's a special type, a special person with animals and shit. Were you okay? What are you curious about that character and where that's going? At least with the power.
Yeah.
That was
He
surprising.
probably
right?
has the coolest powers, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because like you see, basically they get captured and the wolves just come in and fuck everybody up, and
Yeah.
he's like, "No, we're good. These are my friends." Like, yeah,
That's
and
like,
just walks through it, and you just see all these soldiers just getting slaughtered by wolves.
yeah,
And-
it was dope.
yeah.
And you see when you see his eyes change and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like getting like a little bit of tingles and stuff. So I'm excited. I really hope the show doesn't get canceled like after like couple seasons, 3 seasons,
Yeah.
and we never see him become the full full that type of power set. I forgot the term, but there's like and at most he could just conjure up 2 wolves, and he's like, yeah, that'd be lame. Yeah, so that's cool. And what about what's it called? What do you think? What are your predictions for Matt?
For Matt, I'm not really sure. He's definitely going down a dark path.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that he might end up being the one to repair the source by accident.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
Like,
be cool.
not like purposely repair it. It's just like he goes and he tries to quest for more power,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh yeah, I want to, I've held this power, I want to hold it more. And in his madness, he goes and basically tries to repair the source because he does have enough power to do that.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I would say. And yeah, just to get his powers back, and then in the end, that ends up like curing his madness at the same time.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think I'm curious. I'm a little bummed that they changed the actor, but he was one of the characters I'm most intrigued with because he got the dagger and he was able to withstand the darkness for so long. They were
Mhm.
like, you have the same amount of darkness in you. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's dope. I would like to see that. I would like to see an evil, like he's like Kylo Ren but done right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Let's go. Is there okay? What about you? What's your favorite episode?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would probably say, honestly, the finale is my favorite episode. Just because
that was cool.
I felt like that's
that
where
war
you
scene was
really,
epic.
where you really got a feeling of what this world was about.
Yeah.
It felt like they really were building up to that episode the entire time. The Eye of the World is the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Episode 8. Yeah. And wow, and just watching kind of the mind battle with the Dark One.
Yeah.
It was just great. It made sense that it came to that kind of point, and just where it left the show too left me excited for season 2.
Same. It's like one the name didn't die, thank God. Egwene Fixer. And then I think his name is Podin Finn or Podane Finn. Remember the beggar who we found out is actually a servant of the Dark One? That was super cool to see. And like that he actually knows a lot more than expected. He's actually interested in all 5 of them, not just Dragon Reborn. And we saw Perrin finally get his iconic hammer from the book, which is cool. I'm a little worried about. I mean, I don't think he'll be dead. I don't think they're gonna change that from the books. The ogre.
Yeah.
If he dies, I'll be very sad.
They better keep him around because it sounds like he's one of the guys that's going to give
your
them like
encyclopedia.
the knowledge that they need.
Yeah, he's the perfect exposition mouthpiece. And he's entertaining as fuck too.
Yeah. Just always complaining about everybody going too fast.
Yeah,
and
he's
it's
like,
just slow down once in a while.
Humans so hasty.
Yeah.
The crazy. Okay, so let me tell you the difference in the book. In the book, it's actually like after he finds the Dragon Reborn, he does that thing with the Dark One, and he actually ends up not teleporting or kind of like going very quickly and destroying the Chalak army by himself. Like he fully realizes his Dragon Reborn powers.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and it's like a full Super Saiyan 20 moment. But in this one, they kind of temper it down. I think 1 for budget reasons, and 2, the stuff that he does in the end of the book, they give it to the different characters because they wanted to make it more ensemble piece. I think creatively that was the right choice, but not gonna lie, that would have been super fucking dope.
So have they done anything so far in the TV show that fucks with the future?
Not too much.
Them trying to stay, consistent with the books in the future.
Not too much, no.
Because I know that's one of the things that you can run into when you're adapting a book into a TV show or movie. We saw it happen quite a few times in Game of Thrones, where some of the best storylines that kind of took a while to develop, they just cut out entirely.
Yeah.
And it was too late for them to kind of integrate them back in because they had already made core changes to the show.
Pretty much.
And so you see that happening, and that's one of the things I worry about most with adaptations into TV shows specifically.
I agree with that 100%. I'm worried about the show, but so far no. Even though there's big deviations, particularly with Moraine, but I'm hopeful.
It's okay to deviate. It's just you got to deviate correctly
Yeah.
because there's a right and a wrong way to do it. Like,
But the overall like
yeah.
story beats, the main story beats have to stay the same.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main story beats have to stay the same. And you also need to look at that kind of downflow effect. Like if you have a character who 3 books later gets married and has a child, and then that child ends up being like an important entity in the book in itself, and the reason why that child's important is because of who their parent is, then you can't kill that character off.
Yeah.
That's kind of an extreme example, even if that character's really not doing much right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, at least for me, from what I know, not too much. I know people online have been, some people have been playing like the Moraine thing specifically, but I'll just tell you this to fans. Let's be patient. Let's wait. The fact that we even got this high level budget and care for a Robert Jordan novel is fantastic. So we will see.
And it sounds like, just from what I've heard on a lot of other shows,
Yeah,
it sounds like there's a lot of creative freedom within the Amazon ecosystem
yeah.
when it comes to creating these shows and creating these properties. And they really do look for people who have a deep connection to the source material.
Yeah, because Amazon right now, it's like, for them, it's really more about, for Netflix, as much as like Netflix, they do care about quality sometimes, but their main goal is not quality, but it's content. Just hours, right? And how many minutes they get. Amazon, obviously.
Well, it's hours per dollar. They want to not spend that much money and get a lot of hours out of it. And not just like hours of the show, but hours of watch time.
Yeah.
So they need stuff that keeps people engaged the entire time.
And they need to do that because Netflix has nothing else but Netflix. But Amazon, in a weird way, they're playing the long game, right? Where they're just trying to build up their content library to a point where it's just absolutely excellent and undeniable. And they're winning a lot of Emmys. Like that's the big thing. They're trying to get the Emmys and get the subscribers. And they're more focused on quality for the most part. And you can tell because they don't need their videos right now to absolutely blow up to Netflix numbers. But they do want to eventually be the one to overtake something like Netflix. They want to be the dominating force in the world. So they're playing the long game. And I think that's good for creators and good for quality of these shows like this.
Yeah, and also with Amazon, their streaming ecosystem, the way that it generates its profits, it really is by getting all those other subscriptions. So getting you to subscribe to Starz and Showtime and stuff like that. And if they've got really good sci-fi and really good fantasy, and that's the platform that you like to use to go watch your sci-fi and fantasy, well, then, you're going to subscribe to HBO through that, or subscribe to, the whatever else through that, just to get those shows that they've got on there. And I think that it's a good strategy, especially because they do have, they've got every streaming service in their pocket pretty much right now.
Yeah.
With, just because they make money off of wherever you stream.
Well, if you buy it through Amazon.
No, just in general.
Well,
because
it depends on,
pretty much all of them are hosted.
It depends on
by Amazon.
Well, even if they're hosted, it depends on, each company has a separate deal with Amazon of like how they split up the profits and stuff.
No, I'm talking about web hosting. So
AWS. Web hosting. Okay,
AWS.
Okay,
So when you go on to Netflix and say you stream stuff there, you're probably getting routed through an AWS server, and they're making money off that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Let's not veer off too much from the media stuff. Let's go. Let's not suck off Jeff Bezos' dick too much. So now, and then last thing, I guess, before we get into ratings, unless you also have something else to talk about.
I do want to talk about the set design just a little bit more. Yeah, especially watching a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Jesus, the set design was so beautiful. And what was the one that you wanted to talk about that was like the best mix of CGI and set design that you had ever seen?
It was just the first episode.
Oh, the first episode?
Yeah, the first episode when the Trollocs attacked, and then it was like the costumes, the house, and then if you saw the behind the scenes, the way they channeled it, they just had the extra light sources, and they actually had a lot of just the practical effects and hitting the extras and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk about the practical effects for the ways.
That one's good too.
Yeah, when they're going through the ways, and just so interesting how they designed that set so that it would feel bigger than it actually was by making it a little bit modular. Yeah. So every time they had them walking through and having a conversation, it was on a different piece of set. So it wasn't they were walking through the same hallway a dozen times.
Right.
They were, and they were able to do it on a smaller soundstage and kind of build each section to meet the needs of the scene.
Exactly. Even the White Tower and the Shadow City too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those like also were extensively built and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the great thing about TV shows is that once you build that set, it's there. And you just make small little adjustments. It helps with cost, and maybe that money could go towards other things, other crazier shit. Like the end of season 2, not end of season 1, which was in the books, where you find that there's another group of people where female channelers are actually like they're slaves.
Mhm.
Remember they created that tidal wave?
Yeah.
They're basically like if you use historical comparisons, they're like, Genghis Khan and the Mongols like coming in to invade, or the Vikings, and holy shit, that's cool.
Yeah. Overall it's just freaking amazing show, and you're probably going to see a lot more of them in the ways, and
I hope so.
Because that seems like it's a very interesting set and something that they can really expand upon.
And even
it feels just so different. It's what really makes it start feeling like a fantasy world.
Yeah. Oh, even the vines. Remember the vines that were like coming from the Dark One's prison, and that's like taking over the kingdom. That shit's cool. What's it called? Okay. Any last minute thoughts before we get into ratings?
No. Let's just jump into final ratings.
Okay. Honestly, for me, I can't give it in the museum yet because it's the first season, and also, as much as I love it, there are some things holding it back from the absolute perfect rating. So I'm gonna say on the shelf. You?
Yeah. I'm also probably gonna say it's hard. Season 2 might change this and might make it better. Probably will make it better, but for now I'm gonna give it premium streaming.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I would pay a subscription for a service to stream this. It's a good show. I was intrigued the whole time, but I've seen so many fantasy shows kind of flounder in the past that if season 2 is not good, then what's season 1 worth?
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm hoping for the best. Please, you guys, don't fuck this up. Amazon, and thank you for the showrunners, thank you for the creators for honoring Robert Jordan and doing the best you can, and thank you for the train for always blaring at the right moments.
Oh, I know. It's
all right, thank you guys. Another episode of Half a Clue TV Review, and catch us next time.
Okay, bye.